Let's start with some vaccine news, because there is some breaking news today about Johnson & Johnson and the trials. Were the trial results what you expected and what you hoped for?
Well, what we wanted to see was yet again another successful platform that was used. You know, the two that have now been approved in the sense of an emergency use authorization were using mRNA, and that was the Pfizer and the Moderna product. Those were extraordinarily efficacious, 94 to 95% for mild to moderate disease, and virtually 100% efficacious for advanced disease with a good safety profile. We were looking forward to more candidates. The one that was announced, there were two actually announced today. The one that I was involved in a press conference with was the Janssen or Johnson & Johnson, which uses a different platform. It's an adenovirus vector as opposed to an mRNA, which is just another type of a vaccine. The results were interesting because it was conducted in the United States as well as South Africa and in Brazil. And there's some very interesting things. First of all, the efficacy in the United States was 72%. Now, at first glance, that might not seem as good as 94, 95%, but the important part of the whole thing was that for advanced severe disease, it was quite effective. Overall, it was about 85% effective, and there were no hospitalizations or deaths in the individuals who were vaccinated, which is very good news. So although the number of efficacy number, namely 72%, wasn't as impressive as 94, 95, it is clearly value added, both in the United States and importantly for developing nations for the following reasons. It's a single dose vaccine, not a 2-dose vaccine. It's relatively inexpensive. It doesn't require a very stringent cold chain as opposed, minus 90 some odd degrees for a freezer. It just requires a refrigerator. So that makes it easier to get to places that don't have the capabilities of that cold chain. And besides, the manufacturer could provide literally billions of doses over a couple of years. So good news today.
You're right. 72% doesn't sound as good as 94, 95%, but it's good enough?
Well, certainly. I mean, if you take a look particularly at what we're trying to do is to prevent hospitalizations, severe disease, and death. So although it was not as good as a couple of the others in preventing early symptomatic disease, what it did do very well was prevent severe disease, including hospitalization and death. So it's the kind of thing that obviously, if we didn't have a 94, 95% effective vaccine that was given an EUA some time ago, a 72% efficacious would have been, wow, this is really terrific. Everything is relative, as it were.